back to welcome Mr. Raju Shah, Mr. Maulik Bansali, Mr. Jaishankar Talreja, and Mr. Bauer. Mr. Shah is a serial entrepreneur and visionary who has spent the last 4 decades building global businesses through a mix of hard work and perseverance. His strong desire to create value for customers through ethical and transparent means has been imprinted in the DNA of Rishabh Software and many other businesses that he has spearheaded in his career. His unique style of leadership, combined with exceptional people management skills and sharp focus on customer delivery, has helped Rishabh Software become one of the leading technology solution providers in Gujarat. An active philanthropist, he firmly believes in supporting the community and promoting education by helping schools with their infrastructure and financing needs. Welcome, Mr. Shah.
Yeah.
Mr. Maulik Bansali is a co-founder and CEO of NetWeb Software, and he is NASSCOM's National SME Council member, Gujarat Regional NASSCOM SME Council chairperson, and leads several NASSCOM activities in the region for NASSCOM SME Council, IT, and ITS SMEs. He is also the immediate past chairman and director of GACIA and currently plays an advisory role at GACIA IT Association. He was member of Governing Council of IT and ITES Sector Skills Council from 2017 to 2019. He continues to assist IT and ITS at NASSCOM for various skilling initiatives. He is on the board of management and board of studies for several known universities. He is a frequent speaker at several professional and educational institutes and is a mentor to many young entrepreneurs. Welcome, Mr. Bansali.
Thank you so much, Satya, for such a kind introduction, and good seeing you, my friend. It's a pleasure sharing dais with our leaders like Rajubai and all the friends that who are here, including Umesh, Jagmohan, and Jaishankar. Thank you so much for having me here this afternoon.
Thank you. Mr. Jaishankar Talreja is, was trained at Ernst& Young and he was a CA at the age of 22. He has helped businesses raise millions of dollars and led advisory projects for several family businesses and continues to do so. He has also worked with reputed companies in leadership roles. At the SP Jain Global Family Business Program, he has handled more than 350 family business science across sectors, developed practicable business plans. Welcome, Mr. Talreja.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I just want to add a small thing because we have GACIA and people from the IT industry here. Initial part of my career, I spent as a product manager simulations. So I have a very good hang of the IT space as well. So I hope that will be of some value during our interaction today.
It's great to know, Mr. Talreja. Welcome over.
Thank you so much.
And our moderator, Mr. Jagmohan Bhavar, is considered among the top executive coaches in corporate circles in the Asia Pacific region. He is among the handful of master coaches in the region and has helped coach more than 800 CEOs, board members, and CXOs in India, Middle East, Singapore, Australia, and USA. His proteges include recognized industry leaders as well as founders of leading startup ventures in the technology and finance sector. Welcome, Mr. Jagmohan.
Thank you so much, Siddharth. Very kind words. So, welcome, Mr. Shah, Jaishankar, Maulik, and all the participants, of course, for taking all the time. I'm hoping this is going to be an invigorating session. I'm personally looking forward to this. I had a very brief chat with Mr. Shah and Maulik and Jay yesterday, and I think that set the tone for today's session. So, over the last few months, we've been seeing a lot of disruption happening all around us, not just in India, not just in Gujarat, but across the globe. And so many changes have happened. We've seen large corporate enterprises, some of them, decades-old organizations. We've seen them go down, and we've also been privy to seeing some very nimble organizations who've managed not just to stay afloat, but actually do better than they were earlier. In the context of family-owned businesses and entrepreneurs, the challenges have been probably even higher than they've been in the corporate side. And therefore, it's with a lot of interest that I'm starting this conversation. As Satyarth and Neha mentioned, the theme for today is how can you write your own growth story in dynamic times, which is in uncertain and ambiguous times. And with that, Mr. Shah, throwing the first question to you. You've been in business now for about 40 years, and over the last couple of decades, I think you must have seen so many changes happening, so many ups and downs. As a business owner, briefly, how would you share with our participants how you have managed, and how you have adapted to all these changes?
I think one of the most important factor in any business is developing the vision and setting your goals. If you are able to develop your vision properly, that will eventually get you setting up your goals systematically every year, whether it is a short-term goal or long-term goal, and helps you focus your all the other activities aligned to the achieving your goal. Challenges, changes, everything keeps coming every year, every quarter, if you look at it. But how nicely you are focused to your end goal and how nicely you are able to stay aligned to the changes in the industry, that helps a lot in achieving your long-term success.
So what you're saying, Mr. Shah, is that while vision is very important, and that's where the entire story starts, but it's also important to keep refining your vision.
Yes.
In tandem with how your external environment is changing.
Yes.
Because if you stay stuck to a vision which was set up, sometime in the past, you may no longer be relevant.
Yeah, because the changes are coming at a faster pace than anybody ever thought about. Like I had my businesses, my first data processing center I started was 1981 in Bombay, right? So whatever I was able to see at that point in time versus last year, even though it was pandemic year, but last 6 months I'm seeing a very drastic changes, very fast changes. So one has to continuously keep an eye on your market, on your deliverable, on your customer, and your position to continuously keep delivering and aligning to your goal. If you are able to focus systematically like that, I think you have very high chances of success.
I think that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Jay, I know you will have a word to say on this. So before I move on to the next one, quickly, let's have your thought on this.
So I think I have this one line which I frequently tell entrepreneurs, and it's in Hindi, but I'm sure it will be understood, and I'll translate it if necessary. Jaisa lakshya, vaise lakshan. So, and this applies not just to entrepreneurs; it applies to everyone.
Everyone, yeah.
And I think I will just go a step back. When you talk about having a lakshya, it's very important how you make that lakshya. And I think what you and Jagmohan spoke about, I can summarize it in 7 points that you said about. You should look at the industry, you should look at the customer, you should look at your operations, you should look at people, you should look at money. I would just add 2 more things. Please also look at yourself. And if you're a family business, you also look at your family. And then this will complete the 360-degree X-ray that you need to do continuously in order to make a vision that is actually a smart one, something that is specific, measurable, and agreed upon amongst everyone, realistic and time bound. Only then do you really have a fair shot of achieving that in real life, and it not being only an idealistic one. And the third part,
aptly summarized, Jay, very aptly summarized. And I think those 7 points that you mentioned are not just relevant from a family business or an entrepreneur. Most of those are relevant even for corporates.
Correct.
Absolutely. So I think very, very cogent points. Thank you so much. Maulik, a question for you. I've always believed that talent is so important, right, for any business, because you might have a great idea, a great vision, but without the right talent backing you, all of that is going to come to naught. So specifically in the family-owned businesses, how challenging is it, or what challenges do you see people facing in not just attracting the right talent, but also in retaining them?
Right. See, oftentimes, while the entrepreneur-driven or family-owned businesses, if I may say, are top-driven, right? And you will agree to and share my thought on that. What happens? Of course, it does kind of bring in the efficiency in terms of decision making, but several times it kind of misses the very important point, which is empowering people around you. And if we really do not do that, then you are really not taking your organization or your business along the lines which you actually really need to be able to grow. And that's very essential. So building your own team, building your second line, having new fresh ideas, involving young entrepreneurs, I would say, not necessarily everyone has to be an entrepreneur, but you may still have ideas to succeed or to make a difference, right? Empowering those sometimes are missed as part of that, and several times not intentionally, but by the design how such organizations are really functioning or are put into existence, right? So understanding and recognizing that it is absolutely important to encourage, to empower people around you so that you can actually do more and better towards the growth of the organization or of the business is very essential, and several times that is being missed and doesn't encourage people to stay on, unfortunately.
I want to stop you here because I have a follow-up question, and that question is for both you and Mr. Shah.
Sure.
You said making sure that you're building your second line. I'd like to understand from both Mr. Shah and you how you've done that in your business. Okay. And you can do that briefly.
Okay, so one of the important thing is grooming your next line. You have to align your grooming in line with their goal in life, their career in life. And as long as you give them that grooming and little bit mentoring, they will do excellence. They all have potential. Today, I have seen that new generation is much more potential and much more capable and confident to achieve. If all they need, you need a little bit direction and an environment to succeed. They do excellent.
So you're saying get them to buy into your vision. That's great. You're saying what Maulik also mentioned, that empower them so that they can carry forth that vision along with the promoter. Those are two very fine points there. Maulik, do you have anything to add to that before I move to Jay? I have a question for Jay on this.
Yeah, I think it's about this thing happened, and I'll share honestly if I have one more minute to share.
Sure.
There was a time when I was actually deep down, okay, in every operational aspect of the business, right? And one day I had to really go on a long trip for business reasons, and I was wondering whether how will really things will function. And to my happy surprise, it functioned all well. And that kind of it kind of helped me to think that if our people are empowered more, how much more they can really do, number one. Second, it was a realization that you need to work on business more than work in business, right? There is a big difference between the two, and that realization, however, came little in a different way, like I said. But then the moment it set in, it had set in. It was about setting the processes in place, setting the systems in place, make sure that you have established trust at every level, and of course accountability as well. Empower people so that they can really do that. You cannot really hold them accountable unless you really empower them and train them to be there, right? So that's one big change. And all this put together, it did kind of help to further get the buy-in in what they are doing and the ownership of what they're really doing, and helped me to rather, like I said, work on business rather than work in business.
Very finely put, Maulik. Jay, two questions for you. One, while we've heard from Mr. Shah and Malik about what they've been doing to empower the second line and even beyond the second line, since you've been working with a diverse set of family-owned businesses and their next lines, share with us quickly what you've observed there, right? So that's one. And then maybe you can summarize all of this as well. So makes my job easier.
Yeah. So I am the lucky one that I'm not attached to the situation of being the owner or being the second line that you have to groom. So I can take a very detached perspective to it. And having seen it for so many years, right from the beginning of my career, like when I was 22, from that time when I helped a family business raise private equity in like before I was 25, that was done. And I think that one journey really taught me some very valuable lessons. And I would first like to draw from what Mr. Shah said. He used the words, you need to understand the goal of your team, the line that you are intending to groom, unki zarurat kya hai? I think, again, this is a tagline I often use in my interaction with entrepreneurs, कि दूसरों का दुखड़ा दूर करेगा, ऊपर वाला तेरी तिजोरी भरेगा. तो वो दूसरों के अंदर, I think one of the key दूसरों is your manpower. So, you really need to understand what their needs are. And frankly speaking, it's not that complicated. Just like a business owner is running a business for two reasons. One is creating wealth, and second is having some prestige, broadly. So even for someone who is a performer, they would have these two reasons. And if I have to link to the first question that we had, okay, if your business has a very solid vision, then they also have something to look forward to, right? Because you cannot necessarily, as a small business, give salaries equivalent to big corporates. And if you can't do that, at least give them a dream which together you can chase. And in the IT industry, the concept of ESOPs is so well entrenched that it needs no explanation. But the ESOPs are valuable only if you are going to ultimately have those journey of having private equity and getting listed. Only then the ESOPs really carry value. And it goes down again to where we started. Okay, 360-degree X-ray karke solid vision should be there, and that vision should be aligned to the employees. Make them your partners. A DMart is owned 7% by its employees, and we all know what the market capitalization of DMart is. So you can imagine how wealthy the DMart employees would be when it got listed 3 years ago, but they were not that wealthy for the first 10 years of their journey with DMart. It took 10 years for DMart. It retained its core team right from the beginning, whether it was the CEO, whether it was the COO, all of them were retained with this goal. Okay, you have ESOPs which are tomorrow going to be worth a lot.
So, Jay,
I'm happy to add. I'm happy to add that we have our leadership team average of more than 7 years with Rishabh.
Wow.
And up to 17 years. That's the pride that we can take in our company. And then it gives us today a platform for a very fast growth.
Yeah. See, when you are expecting your employees to stick with you and see long-term value, then it's obvious that you need to be able to demonstrate your commitment towards them as well. And I think when both those things happen, when the organization and the promoters are able to demonstrate that they are there for their employees, they automatically get the commitment of their employees as well. And फिर वो employer-employee वाला relationship रहता नहीं है, which is what I've noticed in entrepreneurial ventures and even in some of the corporates today. Then it's more of, we're doing this together. And Google does it beautifully. मैं Google का example नहीं लेना चाहता था because Indian context नहीं है, but Google's done that beautifully. Infosys in the earlier days in India did this beautifully. InMobi is doing it beautifully even today. So, but वो जो तुमने कहा जय that दूसरों की तिजोरी भरो, and
I'll correct you. दूसरों का दुखड़ा दूर करेगा, ऊपर वाला तेरी तिजोरी भरेगा.
So that commitment works both ways.
Yeah.
That commitment works both ways. Great. Mr. Shah, we've noticed that a lot of family businesses and a lot of entrepreneurial ventures also stagnate somewhere on the journey, right? So शुरू हो जाते हैं, growth भी आ जाती है, लेकिन एक हद के बाद stagnation शुरू हो जाता है. My question to you is, firstly, from a diagnosis perspective, हमें क्या लगता है ये stagnation क्यों होता है? Two, how can we pinpoint, as a business owner, how can we pinpoint कि अब ये stagnation की stage आ गई है? And three, how do we solve that stagnation to again go on to a growth trajectory? So क्यों होता है, कैसे spot करेंगे और क्या करना चाहिए?
See, stagnation आने में again your vision and goal plays the first role. आपका अगर goal and growth is planned and अगर वो नहीं achieve हो रहा है, that says that you are stagnant, or there is one of the parameters that Jay described, 6-7 parameters which are the basis of any business. You need to review each one of them. Where is the gap? Is your customer growing? Is customer not happy? What do you need to do to provide the right service to customer? Is your industry changing? Are you aligning with your change in the industry? Are you providing the right product or right services? Then you are, if not, that is another reason for stagnancy. Third thing, as a part of the family, how is your next generation aligned to your growth and your vision? You may want to grow based upon your so many years of experience, but then what are their vision? Is your next generation, like my son, he is also in IT, but if he was not going to be in IT, I would change my growth strategy and my vision strategy, and it has to align with the next generation, or you go toward professionalism or sell of your business. So one has to look at the parameter of where you want to go, how you want to go, how far you want to go, and who will take it over from there, right? So like and each parameter, like financial risk taking, like today I may want to build up a team of say 50 machine language programmer, but it's not possible in Baroda, So what are your current challenges of localization or the effect of your positioning? So various parameter centric, customer centric, market understanding, client understanding, client demand and ability to meet, ability to sell into new market, all the parameter has its own influence towards coming out of stagnancy. So one is to evaluate that business, and as long as you have proper clear vision and goal setting, you will be able to continuously quarterly review where your company is going and how are you, is it going towards the phase of stagnancy. The parameter analysis will give you an idea as to which parameter you need to focus and what are the solutions towards that. Each one will have a different solution. Each industry may have different solution. But as long as you are able to understand your situation and find the solution to that particular position, I may not be like Baroda based. I have a challenge of say the latest technology. Tomorrow somebody comes and tells me that I want to set up a data science, data engineering setup for 25 people. Sure. I need to understand what are my positioning towards fulfilling that requirement. Do I open up an office in Bangalore, or do I open up an office in Bangalore or Pune, or do I try to build up something here? What is the time frame I have for that? What is my investment? How kind of client? So everything has to be analyzed towards each and every situation and find a solution towards that.
So I guess what we are also saying, Mr. Shah, is that there is a need to continuously keep going back to the drawing board.
Yes, you have to.
Reevaluating all that we had set for ourselves.
Yes.
Which of those key parameters which formed part of our vision are still relevant, which have changed? Are my customers the same? Has my customer evolved? Has my market changed? Have my capabilities adapted to the new paradigm? And so many other things. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Jay, a quick one from you. If you have any thoughts on this one.
I think one quick thought on the stagnation is that always compare yourself with the potential of the industry you are operating in and not look at your sales trend. That is number one. And number two, how to overcome the situation. I think the simplest way is either you should enroll yourself to get some refreshing new thoughts in your mind by doing some new skill development program, or getting yourself a coach or an advisor, so that you have some fresh thoughts coming into how to overcome that situation, because you are attached to the situation and you may not be able to definitely find a way out of it. Just that bit.
I think very, very, very fine point you made there, and especially the last one, Jay. And I'm going to throw that one to Maulik.
Okay.
Maulik, Jay spoke about the need for promoters and their leadership teams and the next generation to, upgrade their skills from time to time. And it's very much like if you're standing right in front of a mountain, you can't see the mountain in entirety. Sometimes you need to move away from the mountain to see it fully. And I guess that's where Jay is coming from, that sometimes you get so embroiled in your business कि आदमी उसके अंदर ही खो जाता है, और नई चीजें जो हैं, new things which are emerging, one tends to lose sight of that. My question to you, Maulik, is how important is it for promoters, science, leadership teams of businesses to continuously upgrade their skills? And in your opinion, what are the 2-3 ways that they can do that?
Well, it's absolutely important, and I think you have to stay curious and competitive, right? There is no doubts about it. And one thing which Raju bhai mentioned earlier, setting that vision, and I think that vision has to be more inclusive in nature, which means your larger purpose, and then setting that larger purpose so simple to be understood by everyone else around you who are working with you to be able to take it forward. That's first very important thing, and then the understanding that you really, and I said earlier on, and I repeat that, working on business is more important than working in business. And I'm not saying, I'm not undermining who are for the needs that you need to really get involved into your day-to-day things, but to be able to really move forward, I think you have to take this understanding that you cannot do everything yourself, right? So for that matter, of course, you have to understand, evaluate what you, I mean, as an individual or as a founder or as an entrepreneur, what you are really good at and what you are lacking as far as satisfying that larger purpose and larger goal is concerned, and then fill that place, by getting the right people, right, or by getting the right partners in place to be able to do so. And if you have someone who is internal in your organization who can really take up that role, nothing like it. It is even better to kind of put that individual or that gentleman or lady to really help you achieve that. Several times our leadership, the change of the mindset is absolutely important. And I think it starts from there. So understanding, recognizing our own weaknesses or recognizing our own strength is absolutely important. And without that, one can be fooled in terms of what I can do, what I cannot do, and kind of just set up for something, but without any direction and not even equipped to do so, right? So training yourself as an individual, as an organization is absolutely important. Several times we undermine how important it is for leaders also to get trained or to get coached from right people. It's not always necessary that you need to have one mentor, but you can have maybe 2 or 3 different mentors at different point in time, or
Sure.
possibly for different matters and different reasons. And second, you, apart from your learning from these different mentors, you possibly need a good vision setting exercise as well several times. And I think that is missing a lot. The understanding of that, how do you shift from operational management towards more strategic management? At times people don't even understand that. We don't understand, many don't understand unless it's something hits very bad somewhere. And I think that that vision understanding possibly can come through more exposure, more training, by networking more, by peer networking, by involving yourself more into the ecosystem around you, so that you know what the best practices are, so that you know what you can learn from, how you can possibly derive few important things for your own organization. Therefore, these are self initiatives, which is very important for any individual, right?
So Maulik, I hear you talking
It has
about
to start from the top, in my opinion.
So I hear you talking about self-awareness. I help you talking about, therefore, everything that flows from self-awareness. I hear you talking about the need for mentorship, and that is a very fine point that you might require a series of mentors at different points in time. So many other things you spoke about. Jay, I'd like to come back to you. Raju Bhai spoke about a few things in this context earlier when he spoke about alignment of vision between 2 generations, right? Maulik has spoken significantly on this. why don't you combine the two and share your experience also in terms of, what kind of upgradations have really been working for people in this space?
Yeah, I think I'll strictly share from my experience, having worn three different hats of being a teacher and I'm referring to a teacher only to entrepreneurs. I've never taught anyone other than entrepreneurs, and mentor and advisor to the same audience. And I think that based on what we've also been doing at SPJ and Global, it's not really effective if you have these people being trained in isolation. So if you have a program which is only for people who are young, and you have a separate program for people who are slightly on the older side, and maybe separate program for the executives, I think what is really required is to have a program where you have more than one person from different buckets, one the owner, one the scion, and one maybe a leader, coming together in one room. And as Raju was highlighting, it's very, very important for everyone to align together, come together and do your X-ray and have a clear vision that you all own up. And then the only thing is for you to chase it and keep refining it over time. So I think it's very important that the whole thinking around, having a mentor or a series of mentors who are different for different individuals. No, get the key people together in one place and have them do this together. And I think that's something that my journey over the last many years has taught me. It's very, very important. And I think fingers crossed, that's something we will have working on.
So Jay, on that point, I mean, I've spent most of my career on the corporate side. Of course, in the last 17 years now, I've been working with entrepreneurial ventures and with business owners as well. But if I look back, in corporates, there is a very, very set process, a very formalized process. Person A needs to go in for this learning program, person B needs to go into this learning path, and so on. What kind of courses, according to you, would be game-changing for people in family businesses or entrepreneurial ventures?
I think something that I have been really dreaming about because as I was introduced, that I have mentored 350 science from family businesses make practicable business plans, and I think that one big learning for me has been that this process of making a solid business plan, where you do a 360-degree X-ray, then you take a vision, and then you have a clear strategy to achieve each goal. This should be done together. I think my vision of the game-changing year would be that you have a program where Raju Bhai is in the room, his son is in the room. If he feels there is another key employee who's been there for 10 years who's equally important as his son, those three people should be in the room together and have a few more businesses like Raju Bhai's business in the room together. And then we just focus on one thing: how to do a 360-degree X-ray for your business, how to make a vision, how to have a clear strategy to achieve each goal that you may have, whether it is on the customer side, operation side, people side, money side. And then at the end of it, you just are on your own. You just have to go ahead and implement and keep reviewing and course correction. I think
Mr. Shah, does that make sense at all? Or do you agree with Jay? Or do you have do you have an alternate opinion?
No, I do agree, because each one of the key player should know their game to be played. Then on the synchronization, the whole game gets the right result.
I especially like the fact that he's talking about not just getting the promoters, but getting the science as well, and also including the other leadership members.
Yeah, see, that is where your next generation is also aligning with the future, and he's also becoming leader for next leadership. And your other team is also becoming owner of many things. So when the business grows, they can take over a lot of part of the responsibilities of the organization.
Absolutely, absolutely. Maulik, what are your thoughts? Are you in tandem with what Jaishankar is saying, or do you have a different opinion?
No, absolutely. I think what they have said is absolutely correct. In my opinion, whatever I've observed with some friends around and in the industry is that there's a mindset change which is absolutely important. You want to take them to the training, for example, what Jaishankar mentioned earlier. What brings them to there? Why? When is that recognition and realization of change possibly, which is really very important? When that switch has to flick,
Right.
And it's not a process; it happens, And when it happens, it's very important. How that can happen is very important. There may be instances, there may be experiences, there may be but in my opinion, in for every entrepreneur, for every founder, it is absolutely important to set higher goals and higher purposes, so that you walk towards that no matter what intermediate failures are or successes are. And then to reach there is, how do you reach there? I think that's the path which one has to really understand. How do you really make that path? And that's the time when someone will need to possibly have some hand holding, some understanding, and how do we really do that? But that change in the mindset, that switch has to flick, and that's a big thing, in my opinion. Once that happens, it's there. And I have seen several times some entrepreneurs becoming so complacent because they have made the money. Yes, I have made the money. What next? Enjoying life, good, nothing wrong with it. But you have people who have worked along with you. You are a leader. You have formed a business for a purpose, right? Yes, one needs to take home money. I understand that, nothing wrong with it. But how do you put that back into business, right? And that's very important. And the reason I'm mentioning that, but because several times the failure is at that point. And I'm being very honest about it, but that's how it is.
Yeah. So actually, in that sense, Malik, it's not too different from any venture, because the moment growth starts happening, the first thing that happens is that one tends to get complacent, right? Then that growth gets into maturity, which means you are still growing, but you're not growing at the same pace as you were earlier. And then from maturity to decline, it is so fast that one doesn't even realize it's sudden death.
Absolutely.
And at that time, it's almost impossible to get out of it, So, in fact, that's why when we are talking, whether it's to entrepreneurial ventures or to corporates, we say that the time to reinvent yourself, to reimagine yourself and your business, is when you're still on the growth path.
Absolutely.
Because by the time you get into maturity and then subsequently decline, you've already built another curve for yourself, which puts you on the growth trajectory.
Exactly.
So I guess we're all saying the same thing. I'm glad. Raju bhai,
if you allow me, Jack, just one small point to complement what you said. I think what Monikji said is bang on when it comes to a good percentage of the entrepreneurs that I personally deal with, because I deal with hundreds of them every year. तो एक अच्छे परसेंटेज को जो आप बोल रहे हैं वो अप्लाई होता है, और उनके लिए मेरा एक ही सजेशन है, अगेन थोड़ा सा हिंदी यूज करता हूँ, संग का रंग चढ़ता है, ठीक है? तो आप अगर आपका माइंडसेट उस डायरेक्शन में आ गया ना कि आप संतुष्ट हो गए हो, अभी आपको मतलब इफ यू आर जैन, यू आर प्लानिंग टू इवन गो एंड टेक दीक्षा मे बी, what you need to do is you need to just change your sang and be around people who make you feel small, who make you feel that, oh, they have still so much energy, they are doing so many great things in life and all. So again, when I said that we have a program where we have not just Raju bhai, there should be 15 other people like Raju bhai who can look up to each other. Oh wow, they've done this much better than I have. They've done this. So I think because वो human tendency है, and that is there in us right from the childhood, कि हम अपने आप को compare करते ही हैं दूसरों से. तो आप अपना थोड़ा benchmark change कर दो, surround yourself with people who can make you feel that okay, I have to get back now.
And another thing is, Jagmohan, the stagnation is more, I have seen, to be towards industry sector. IT sector is constantly to be alert, right? With the new technology and new model. So
that's the nature of the beast.
It's applicable to the IT sector, but more applicable to other sector. The other sector will go through a lot of fast changes now. That is my reading. The kind of growth that I see industry will go through in next 10 years, it will be a lot of people will have to change the way they're thinking and working.
Correct. IT sector, I guess, Mr. Shah, the difference will be that with the way that the technology themselves are changing, I guess the IT businesses need to be a step ahead of
Yes.
that,
Yes.
because technological change itna zyada ho raha hai.
Yes.
So I know, because we run our own tech company as well. And some of the things which we were working on 3 years ago, we realized that some of them are actually becoming defunct now.
Yes, exactly.
So that need of reinventing yourself, I guess, is across all sectors. Okay. Since we are coming towards the end, I don't want to miss out on a couple of crucial questions that I had for all of you. I think the audience would like to take away 2 things apart from what we've already discussed. One, if you could recommend 2 skills that either an entrepreneur or a family business owner needs to possess, what would those 2 skills be? And we can start with Raju Bhai and then move to Maulik, and then Jay will come back to you. Yes, Raju Bhai.
So again, my original thing was vision is very important. Second, a fire in the belly is also very important, and focus. 3 areas will have a very high chances for your success. And if you're looking at a family part of next generation, and some patience and maturity, is also very important.
Okay. I especially love the part about the fire in the belly, because वो खत्म हो जाती है काफी वक्त के बाद.
Yes.
शुरू में बहुत होती है, then it starts diminishing. वो लगानी पड़ती रहती है.
तो वो बढ़ाने के लिए आपका vision always like curve has to go up, then only that fire stays.
Absolutely, बिल्कुल. Maulik, what are your 2 or 3?
Well, I believe vision. Second, relationships. Third, people building. And one very important thing that I would like to share from my own personal experiences: where to and how to say no. I'm possibly sounding a little. I mean, it's being very candid. I think it's important. And I was reading this book sometime back. It's called Essentialism. I possibly would have heard about it. Several times we kind of get involved into a lot of things, and from my own personal experience as well. But we all succeed when we say yes to right things, correct, and at the right time. But to be able to do that, we need to also say no to other ideas possibly, right? So we can really focus, and focus is very important. Therefore, what I was trying to say. And how do you therefore apply your energies in the ways that ultimately bring you the rewards? Now, not personal rewards, but in general, that you are looking for the results to really achieve. So again, visioning, relationships, people building, and focus.
I think वो last वाला point बहुत ही उम्दा है, Maulik. The ability to say no and stay focused. I've seen so many entrepreneurs and businesses going down because they've started off with a very focused plan. Then they've grown, then they've diversified, and diversification every time may not necessarily be a great thing, or a risk mitigator. At times, it takes you away from your core focus areas, your core competence. Which is why, interestingly, even when investors are looking at businesses, one of the things they focus on, apart from the team and the business idea, is how focused you are. कि आपके पास 4 चीजें आ रही हैं, तो आप वो 4 चीजें कर लोगे, या आप वो एक चीज पे पहले टिकोगे, उसको सुधारोगे, consolidate karoge, and then you will see how you want to go forward. I love that point. I think that's really important. Jay, what are your 2 pennies on skills that you feel?
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, the most important thing that you do in your life every day is take decisions, and you make decisions which have great impact. And I have observed that lot of times the decisions are largely based on gut. अभी बोलो तो literally लगे तो तीर नहीं तो तुक्का. Okay, sorry, I am from Mumbai, grown up, so I keep using this Mumbaiya language, but literally that. And I think the one skill which really needs to be developed is analytical, because today it's the time, as apne Gujarat ke Mukesh Bhai himself has said, data is the next oil. He's talking about the value of analyzing data. So I think it's very, very important to develop those analytical skills, which are not there really, neither in the earlier generation nor this. That is, I think, something which really can be augmented. I'm not saying it's not there at all, but there is a great scope to augment it.
Right.
Second, I think the other thing is the acceptance and realization. Even the best athlete requires training, requires coaching. So why would someone who's running a business venture where he's not responsible for himself, but something at that level, why would that person not require training and coaching? I think it's
Everybody does.
not, it's not optional. And you have to be continuously doing that. In an athlete's career, he has to be trained and coached throughout. He can't stop it. कि बस अभी मैंने शुरू में कर लिया, अभी मुझे नहीं करना है. नहीं. You have to, you need it on an ongoing basis. So I think these two things I would really feel are missing elements in terms of the attitude or the skill sets that are required.
It's interesting that you say that, Jay, because I remember that 2004 में मैंने corporate sector छोड़ा था, and I moved out of HSBC and started my talent management firm, People First. जब हम executive coaching शुरू कर रहे थे 2004 में, at that time a lot of CEOs felt that अब तो CEO बन गए हैं, यहाँ पहुंच गए हैं, तो अब तो coaching की जरूरत है नहीं. But by 2005, 2006, things had started changing. And the first people who came to us for coaching were people who had built multi-billion-dollar empires, whether it was in the telecom sector or the banking industry or other sectors as well. And that's when you realize that वो business या वो आदमी वहां पहुंचा ही इसलिए है because उसका mindset रुकने वाला नहीं है. उसका mindset ये है that no success or no level of success means that I have arrived and I need to continuously keep learning and adding value to myself. So वो कहते हैं ना, you see further when you stand on the shoulders of giants. तो वो giants ही आपके coaches और mentors हो जाते हैं. और वो coaches और mentors के भी कोई coaches and mentors हैं for them to do well in what they're doing. So I absolutely love that point you made. I think बहुत ही उम्दा point था. So we are saying vision होना बहुत जरूरी है. Fire in the belly hona bahut zaruri hai, and if you don't have it, you need people around you who can contribute to that fire in your belly. Patience bahut zaruri hai because success may not happen immediately, and kai baar aadmi us waqt business chhod deta hai just when they are about to taste that success, and I think that is very important to have that perseverance there that Raju bhai mentioned. Maulik mentioned relationships not just within the business but relationships with other stakeholders as well. आज की तारीख में, I know Maulik has spent so many years working with Gacy ID Association. He is associated with NASSCOM and many other forums. Now, while that's his way of contributing to those ecosystems, but I'm sure, Maulik, there is a lot of indirect, advantages that also accrue to you as a person and a business.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are so right, and I think you all possibly will relate to this, that it is very lonely at top several times, and you need to bounce your ideas, you need to sound it through someone. You need peer networking, you need peer learning as well. And what happens, at times that you possibly validate your thoughts and your ideas by discussing with some people. You get to learn the best practices around. And earlier on, we talked about, you have to benchmark yourself somewhere, right? And so, get an opportunity that where you are, where do you really belong, where you as business are in the whole ecosystem around. And I think over the period of time, you tend to learn and you tend to really extract the best out of it, bring insight, bring it within your organization or your business as a change. And and you don't, and advantage, you don't get complacent as a result of that. And you're always curious about knowing new things and good things. Several times you get friends who will say spade a spade, and as an having an outsider view is always advantageous. So I get that opportunity as well. Discuss that very clearly without any emotions involved in it, and they say this is going to work or this is not going to work, period, and you better take that advice. So I get opportunity. That's how to kind of a lot of people to talk, discuss, brainstorm at times, learn. It's a great opportunity which is otherwise not there. And
Sure.
Believe me, one thing. several times we kind of hesitate in terms of going and talking to someone or asking some question. But you know what? There are people who are out there who will always tell you the truth. It's just that we need to open up, and it's very important. Opening up is very important. Several times we keep close to ourselves, and I think if you do not open up, it doesn't really work. So it teaches you how to open up, to talk, and be straight and be clear about it. You know, it's like how you go to a doctor. You cannot be sitting within yourself and just help and require for help and ask him to treat you as well. You need to kind of open up. And I think therefore, training also possibly provides a great opportunity to open up, in my opinion. And I have taken some trainings myself, and I would not deny that. While all these things help in terms of going through, experiencing through, but at the same time, training actually opens up your vision. It kind of leads you to an understanding that, you know, there is a lot more that possibly you can do, and there are ways and means to do it too. You know, that realization comes in, and that's very important.
Jay, you have a word to add on that?
Yeah, I'll.
मुझे लग रहा था वो जिस तरह स्माइल आ रही थी तुम्हारी कि हाँ कुछ बोलने का मन कर रहा है, बोलो.
I think बहुत बार क्या होता है कि once you are in a particular age group ना, you feel यार अभी मेरे को learn करना बाकी है. वो भी एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर होता है. You know, अभी इतना मैंने लाइफ देख लिया, life has taught me so much. Do I have to learn? मैं तो सिर्फ इतना ही बोलूंगा यार कि अगर शर्म आती है ना लिटरली कि भाई ये एज में जाके मैं करूँ, तो आई वुड ओनली से जिसने की शर्म उसके फूटे कर्म. तो पहले तो वो माइंडसेट से बाहर निकलना है, शर्म मत करो.
Right.
You could be asking a stupid question at the age of 60, and that is the only thing that will keep you going. And you could be learning from someone half your age.
Actually, there are no stupid questions.
Yes, absolutely.
So, okay, I've already got some questions from the participants on the number. If there are any other questions, you can either send me a direct message on Zoom here, or you can post it publicly as well. जब तक क्वेश्चंस और आते हैं तो मेरे पास जो ऑलरेडी आ गए मैं वो पूछना शुरू करता हूँ. राजू भाई, आपके लिए क्वेश्चन स्पेसिफिकली आया हुआ था. गिवन दैट यू स्पेंड सो मेनी इयर्स इन द इंडस्ट्री, कोई एक ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी अगर आप शेयर कर सकते हैं, स्पेशली जब सिचुएशन इस प्रकार की है जैसे आजकल है, when there is so much uncertainty, so much dynamism also happening, कोई एक ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी. आई नो इट डजंट टेक 1 minute to share a growth strategy, घंटे लग जाते हैं, बट समरी में अगर एक ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी शेयर करनी है हमारे ऑडियंस के लिए, क्या होगी?
ग्रोथ स्ट्रेटेजी में तो अगेन सी in our case what happened is we had a vision to develop in typical in India, especially in Baroda, when you have an office in a commercial complex, within few years it starts deteriorating very badly, and when you want to invite your international client, it becomes shameful to get them through to your office. So I developed a dream that I want to develop our own infrastructure, our own office building, and that happened in 2012-13. We shifted here, and then the next challenge came up in 2014 is that our largest customer wanted to set up their own setup. So they say either I buy you out or I develop on my own. So the best thing for the continuity of everybody, and he said, okay, we'll sell you. So at that point of time, the building that we created for 1,000 people, we shrunk to less than 200 people. And that is where the next strategy had to develop for us. That what do we do? How do we grow? And a lot of my key people had also gone to that company. So getting back to the right team members and developing a strategy and plan, and that was 2015-16, and then luckily, again, customer-centric approach and understanding customer better and aligning with their needs helped us grow here. Because IT, each and every your customer keeps growing, and today is going to ask for something, tomorrow is going to ask for new technology. So that helped us a lot. Stay with customer, align your service level and delivery level to their needs, and they will give you a lot of new opportunities to keep your growth and come out of all the situation.
बहुत ही अच्छा एग्जाम्पल था, क्योंकि वो एक एग्जाम्पल के तहत हम ये देख सक रहे हैं कि from a business perspective, what are those things? वो जो जय ने initially 7 चीजें बोली थी, उसमें से काफी चीजें आ भी गई हैं इसमें. How do you realign? You know, whether it's realigning to customer expectations, realigning to your own constraints, and saying, अच्छा अब क्या? You know, बहुत ही बढ़िया example. जय, एक question आपके लिए आया हुआ है. Actually, दो आए हुए हैं, but same है, तो I'm bundling them into one. You mentioned, you alluded to the fact that there are certain courses that SPGN is doing for family business owners, जो कि specially design किए गए हैं. आप संक्षेप में अगर थोड़ा सा उस पे light डालें, maybe in a minute or so, what is that course and why is it so powerful for family business owners?
So I think having done two different programs, one for people in their 20s and one for people in their late 40s and 50s, I think we finally come with a program that I mentioned. I think it's just in the final stages of being created, which will be bringing three different set of people into one room from each business, which is the family business owner, the scion, and the key leader who are not from the family. And together they sit for 6 months by coming just 2 days in a month to the campus and making a business plan and presenting that business plan to their own family and business, and if they want, even to investors. So that is something which has been, I think, going on in my mind for the longest of time. But finally, it is, I think, in the concluding stage of being brought. And from my experience with family businesses in all these years, I can say that this is, meeting as I think Raju bhai rightly said. In our case, the customer is the entrepreneurs, and I think this is the customer-centric approach that is needed in terms of meeting their need of having a solid, analyzed, aligned vision to chase. I just have one small line to add to the previous question, which was addressed to Raju bhai on the growth strategy. Since I have made 350 plus business plans over these years, I think the best question that you need to ask yourself is कि आपके जो आपको लगता है कि these are my customers or products or markets that I like, you just go and ask yourself only one question: what is my share in the wallet of that customer? What is my share in the wallet of that product, that market, which you feel you are good at and you have been consistently good at? And when you go and find out that answer, you will see that there is enough potential in some of your existing customers, products, or markets. And that will automatically, this is called the intensification strategy. And for existing businesses which have been around, like Raju bhai's business for 4 decades, or Maulik bhai's business, or so many other people who have existing businesses, more often than not, when we make business plans, we realize the intensification option also is like the lowest hanging fruit for you to, take your business to the next level.
So, Jay, I'd like to add one thing. That is our vision.
We'll be able to pick up one.
Create value for each of our customer. We keep creating value. Then we are constantly with them.
Great.
That is our vision statement.
Super.
Maulik, question for you is, हम अभी business शुरू कर रहे हैं. So the person who's asking the question, हम अभी business शुरू कर रहे हैं. हमारा इस वक्त क्या focus होना चाहिए, right? And you as well. So after Maulik's responded to this,
I lost for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just.
I also lost.
So Maulik, the question is from a person who's saying we're just starting off our business.
Yeah.
And what should our core focus be at this time? It's a IT business that they want to start.
Okay.
Details not mentioned. What should our core focus be as of now when we are starting the business? That's the question for you. And Raju bhai, इसका दूसरा part मैं आपको throw करूँगा before we end this session. Okay. Yes, Maulik.
Well, it's a very interesting question, right? And while a lot of things goes into foundation as you build something, one very important thing, and a lot of things means collaborate, be flexible, create trust and relationships, stay resilient, be optimistic because you will hit a lot of problems. That's the first thing. Be optimistic, you will hit a lot of problems. Keep learning and keep reskilling. keep on remodeling your client offerings. But very important thing, which is absolutely needed, is to understand that you have a product or possibly a service that you want to get started with, right? But do you have a team to go far? At some stage, you may possibly can go from point A to point B, and you will possibly take it forward. But then to go far, you will need to have a team in place along with you, right partners, right people. It is always to get started earliest on that, so that you have right people connected with you, you have right team working along with you, because sooner or later you may be an entrepreneur and good maybe with your product or a service, but you may possibly need good financial discipline as well, right?
So Maulik, what you're really saying is, I'm sorry, interrupting you. What you're really saying is, at the initial stage, I need to ask myself, do I have the right people along with me, either as part of my team or my stakeholders, who can help me take this to the next stage?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Raju bhai, Dipesh Patel has exactly the same question for you. What was your focus? Now he's reversed it. The previous question from Maulik was from the participant's perspective. Now he's saying, what was your focus when you started business, and at starting stage, how did you develop yourself?
Okay. See, Rishabh Software came into play from another company I had with a friend of mine. But if I go back in 1981, that is my first computer data processing center that I set up in Bombay. Yeah, there was just I'd come back from US and I wanted to do something in computer. And there was only one computer center, that was TCS. And I said, I'd like to do something, and try to import computer, but for whatever government policy, very limited knowledge, I could not import. Then I had to buy local made DCM data product, which is not longer in business. I bought their computer because they had an office close to my office in Bombay. And that is where I started. And the only drive was to make it happen. Data brings a lot of new things, a lot of new business. There's no business plan. There's nothing to learn, right? But you keep learning by meeting people, what they want, how they want. And we were lucky that my office in Bombay was close to State Bank of India office. And I met few managers. One of the manager came one day that, look, I have some new requirement of dividend warrant section. He was head of it. I want to start something that I'll give you some work in the end of the day. 5 o'clock, all the dividend warrant comes to me, all the checks come to me. I'll give you in the evening. Next day morning to 10 o'clock, you have to give it back to me. So I took it as an excellent opportunity. So in the daytime, I can run it for my various other customer, and night shift, I can run this bank job, and which grew to much bigger level because of her, thanks to Harshad Mehta and so on and so forth, right? But so you have to find out your, okay, for any business, first thing is have some plan and everything, but see how far you can reach your break-even position. Because if you, till the time you don't reach that, you're draining a lot of your resources, and that put a lot of pressure on you. So the sooner you reach, that was my reason for taking this order. I can break even faster and be in a comfortable situation.
Excellent. That's very inspiring, Mr. Shah. Okay, we've come to the end. Firstly, I would like to thank Mr. Shah, Mr. Bansali, Mr. Talreja. It's been an absolute pleasure interacting with all three of you for the last 1 hour. मुझे तो नहीं लगा कि घंटा हो गया, but हो गया. Thanks to Satyarth for taking time out to introduce the panelists and setting the tone for the session. Thank you so much, Satyarth. It's a pleasure listening to you and catching up with you after so long. We must catch up again when I'm in Gujarat. Thank you, Neha, for opening the session. All the participants who took our time to come in, I hope, as a panel, we've been able to add some value. And before I forget, I would want to thank our strategic partners, without whom this session wouldn't be happening. One is GACI IT Association. And I think most of you know the kind of work that GACIA IT Association has been doing over the years. Maulik, of course, has been an integral part of that journey. And now other colleagues are carrying on the baton that Maulik has handed over. I think GACIA IT Association has done a phenomenal job as far as so many things are concerned, including looking at upskilling and reskilling opportunities and new programs that they're now coming up with. Our other partner that I would also want to thank is HRAI, the HR Association of India. Such terrific work they've done in the space of human resources and over the years. So special thanks to both GACIA as well as HRAI, and of course to all the panelists. Raju Bhai, Maulik, Jay, Satyarth, pleasure interacting with all of you. And I look forward to catching up with Satyarth, Raju Bhai and Maulik when I'm in Gujarat very soon. And Jay, of course, we will catch up in Bombay.
Sure.
Thank you everybody for being here. And we'll be putting up the recording of this on our channel as well as the GACIA IT page and the Talgro page on LinkedIn. And for those who were not able to listen to the complete session, you're welcome to take a look at it there. And if you have questions, you can ask the panelists questions over there itself. Have a terrific day and a lovely weekend. Thank you for being here.